colours do much to determine mood and atmosphere. The more festive the occasion, the more colour we lavish on it. This is true not only of the Bal Carnival. In a world without colour, we should soon lose much of the joy of life. Ever since man invented weaving, he has searched for colouring matters. In earlier ages, he extracted them from plants and animals. But more often than not, the dyings they produced had serious shortcomings. Little more than a century has passed since the first synthetic dyestuff was found, a discovery which marked the birth of the modern science of colour chemistry. Nature herself provided the raw materials for the products which supplanted the natural dyes. Derivatives of coal tar were the first starting materials for the new dyestuffs. With his discovery of the first coal tar dyestuff, Movin, in 1856, William Henry Perkin laid the foundations of the modern dyestuffs industry. The new industry found a congenial home in Bâle, where there was a long-established tradition of silk ribbon manufacture and dyeing. As early as 1862, Bâle-made dyestuffs were represented at the World Exhibition in London, and soon after they were to be found in every part of the world. During these years, the men who in 1886 founded the present-day Sandoz Limited were growing up. Over the years, the original dyestuffs factory has grown to become a prominent member of the chemical industry, producing, besides dyestuffs, pharmaceutical products, textile chemicals, and agrochemicals. But Sandoz has not neglected colour chemistry, the field in which it scored its first successes. In fact, there has been a considerable expansion in dyestuff research in recent years. Research means patient probing into the secrets of matter. In the new blocks of laboratories, the most up-to-date apparatus and techniques are applied to the growingly complex problems of research. To the uninitiated, the formation of a dyestuff may seem like a conjuring trick. Before our eyes, a colourless or cloudy liquid changes into a bright coloured solution as the reagent is run in. But the trick is very much a reality. It gives a dyestuff which can now be isolated in crystalline form and filtered off. In the final form, it is usually a powder. This is but the first step. The product must now be tested to see if its performance meets the end-use requirements. What are its dyeing properties, and how will it stand up when dyed to textile finishing processes and to wear? Finding the answers to these questions is the work of the application laboratories. Using internationally standardized tests, over 50 different color fastness properties are determined. Job requiring weeks and months of continuous work. The test findings give a reliable picture of the new dye stuff's value and possible uses. The word dyestuffs covers a vast range of products. There are the many distinct groups for dyeing and printing natural and man-made textile fibers, dyestuffs for leather and paper, other groups for colouring lacquers, printing inks and aluminium foil, pigment preparations for colouring paints and plastics, a class whose development has been greatly promoted by the growth of the plastics industry, and many other classes for special purposes. Testing dyestuffs as to their suitability for these varied uses is a wide field of work. Modern laboratory apparatus permits the conditions obtaining in bulk practice to be accurately reproduced. Only in this way is it possible to supply users with products which satisfy their special needs, accompanied by instructions for their application. A new dyestuff is not included in the manufacturing program until it has passed all the required tests successfully. The very substantial quantities of starting materials used in production have led to the development of vertically rooted processes, in which the force of gravity is utilized to convey the reaction mass from one kettle to the next. The process starts in the ice-making plant on the roof and continues through story after story to the filter presses, where the precipitated dyestuff is separated from the reaction medium. Further down are the batteries of vacuum drying ovens and paddle dryers, in which the remaining water is extracted from the press cakes. Processes of such complexity call for close collaboration between chemists, physicists and engineers. This coordinated effort of the natural sciences does not begin at the stage of manufacture, but is one of the preconditions of industrial production. Million kilowatt hours, the annual consumption of electrical energy at Sandoz, cannot be taken from a plug in the wall. The firm needs a transformer station of its own to provide this huge quantity of power and conduct it to the hundreds of connections. Similarly, a demand for 10 million cubic meters of water can only be met by a water supply system in the works itself, where water pumped from the Rhine is filtered through silver-painted spherical filters. The underground cable and pipes supplying electricity, water, steam and chemicals are the counterpart of the veins in an organism. The chemist needs the help of the engineer for these installations, and the architect too must be called in to site them correctly. An industrial enterprise that wishes to keep abreast of progress must be constantly brought up to date. But progress is as much a matter of working conditions as of technical refinements. We've come a long way from the dark manufacturing shops of the early years to the brightly lit buildings of today. Between the production of auramine, the firm's first yellow dyestuff, and that of alizarine, or reactive dyestuffs in stainless steel vessels, lie 75 years of technical and social progress. The preparation of dyestuffs after their synthesis has also been transformed. Filter presses or suction filters have taken the place of the old-fashioned wooden frame filters. Perhaps the most conspicuous difference between then and now is in the grinding. Formerly, it was possible to tell from a workman's face, hands and clothes which dyestuff he was grinding. But the modern grinders and mixers work without forming any dust. Modern manufacturing processes involve not only constant supervision of the chemico-technical process, but also control of the end product. A sample from each newly made batch is applied to a suitable substrate in the dye house to ensure that the product conforms in every respect to the standard type. At this point, Sandoz does not consider its task as completed. Now begins the direct, practical cooperation with the user. A large staff of specialized chemists and colorists maintain close contact with customers and contribute by their advice and assistance, by laboratory trials and consultation on the spot, to the success of Sandoz products in works production. The dyestuffs industry is built on the principle of technical service. Here its products have to prove their worth. Here its achievements take practical shape. The daily flow of orders and inquiries handled by the sales staff for the different markets show that the name Sandoz is synonymous with quality the world over. Our business connections, our technical service, and our organization span the globe. The worldwide demand for Sandoz products has long since outstripped the productive capacity of the parent company. In addition to a network of distributors in more than 100 countries, affiliated companies have been founded in Europe and overseas with their own dyestuff manufacturing plants. The British company has its works at Horsforth, near Leeds. The French at Noisy-le-Sec. In Italy, there is a plant at Incirano, near Milan. And in Spain, at Badalona and Hospitalet, near Barcelona. In the Western Hemisphere, we have Sandoz Canada Limited in Dorval, in the United States, the Charlotte branch of our New York company, and the Toms River Chemical Corporation, a plant jointly owned by the Ball dyestuff manufacturers. Further south, there is Sondo de Mexico, S.R. And in Brazil, another jointly owned plant, Industrias Químicas Resende S.A., is now under construction. In India, the head office of Sandoz Products Private Limited is at Bombay. The Sandoz Group of companies now has some 10,000 people in its employ throughout the world. 75 years of Sandoz, 3/4 of a century in the service of color.